Have you ever heard the mind-blowing fact that Cleopatra lived closer in time to the moon landing than to the building of the Great Pyramids of Giza? It sounds absolutely impossible, doesn't it? But I promise you, it's 100% true. Today, we're going to travel across thousands of years of history and break down why this shocking timeline changes everything. You thought you knew about ancient Egypt. First, let's wrap our heads around just how old the pyramids really are. They are way, way older than you think. The Great Pyramid of Giza was finished around 2560 BCE. That's more than 4,500 years ago. To put that into perspective, when the workers were placing the final limestone blocks on that massive structure, woolly mammoths were still roaming the earth on a remote island off the coast of Siberia. This was the Old Kingdom period, an era so ancient that even later ancient Egyptians, people who lived thousands of years ago, saw it as their own distant mythical past. The pyramids were already ancient relics long before Cleopatra's grandparents were even born. Now, let's take a giant leap forward in time to Cleopatra VII. Born in 69 BCE, her world was not the ancient Egypt you probably imagine. By the time she came to power, Egypt was no longer ruled by native Egyptian pharaohs. She was part of the Ptolemaic dynasty, a Greek family that took control after Alexander the Great conquered the region. Her Egypt was a vibrant, multicultural hub. Think of the Great Library of Alexandria, Greek-style theatres, magnificent marble temples, and bustling ports filled with ships from all over the Mediterranean. It was a world of scholars, mathematics, and astronomy, not just sand-covered pyramids and mysterious tombs. To Cleopatra, the pyramids were already over 2,400 years old. For her, they were like medieval castles are to us today, impressive, historical, but relics of a long-gone era. Okay, now for the mind-blowing math that ties it all together. Cleopatra died in the year 30 BC. The Apollo 11 moon landing happened in 1969 CE. Let's do the simple timeline calculation. The time between the Great Pyramid's construction and Cleopatra's death is about 2,500 years. Now, the time from Cleopatra's death to the first person walking on the moon, that's about 2,000 years. Yes, you heard that right. Cleopatra's life is closer to our modern era than it was to the age of the pyramid builders. To put it another way, she lived closer to the invention of the iPhone than she did to the construction of the Great Pyramid. History feels incredibly long until you actually start to measure it. So, what does this all tell us about ancient Egypt? It shows us that Egypt wasn't one single moment frozen in time. It was a civilization that endured for over 3,000 years. That's longer than the Roman Empire, longer than the Incan Empire, and longer than most countries that exist today. Think about this. When Cleopatra was queen, the pyramids were already ancient tourist attractions. People traveled to see them, just like we do. The Egyptian priests of her day were trying to decipher ancient inscriptions from the Old Kingdom that were older to them than their entire religion. For Cleopatra, the people who built the pyramids were as ancient and mysterious as the builders of Stonehenge are to us. Ancient Egypt had its own ancient Egypt. So the next time someone talks about ancient Egypt, remember it wasn't just one single monolithic era. It was an incredibly long and layered timeline, so vast that even one of its most famous rulers, Cleopatra, looked back at the pyramids with the same sense of awe and wonder that we do today. And that, right there, is why Cleopatra truly lived closer to the moon landing than to the pyramids. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey through time, don't forget to like and subscribe for more mind-blowing history.